This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your hosts, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
You know, with our schedule, it's been tough to get the two shows out a week. One for Grand Rapids, one for Toledo with All-Star and everything like that. It's been tough. So we apologize, and apparently we have to get better at this because the team plays better when we post weekly. So it's on us.
Well, they don't play better in blue jerseys.
Well, that's a fact. I can't believe Pat even pulled those out of the closet with what we know about him in superstitions. I bet you we never see them again at this point.
Well, those were the Fanatics ones, and there's no way we see the blue ones by the end of the year. No shot.
Yeah, no. If you like the blue walleye jersey, bad news for you. You're never going to see it again. Well, we've got some games to talk about. We've got roster updates galore to talk about. Welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. And it is nice to be back talking about Toledo again, folks. Sorry, it's on the Grand Rapids folks, really, and Travis's stupid work schedule. So blame them, blame our schedule here, but it's allowed us to bring you guys so much content outside of just Grand Rapids and Toledo. So we hope you've been enjoying that at least. And if you haven't yet checked out all the stuff we posted, make sure you're following us on all the social media platforms at Hockeytown WPod. And if you want to stay up to date with all the future shows, make sure you're hitting subscribe or hitting follow wherever you're watching or listening to this show at. Travis, let's skip all the other antics. Let's dive right in. Let's talk roster because we've seen people come, we've seen people go. What's the first one we're going to talk about?
Well, the first one broke yesterday. Well, it was in yesterday's transaction, so I guess you could say it was yesterday. But Jordan Ernst placed on team suspension, and he's going back to Peoria in the SPHL. So it's a tough loss, I think, myself. I really liked his game myself. There were points to where he played a lot lower in the lineup, but when he got that expanded role, he played really well. But there's just been so many other additions that it's kind of forced him down the lineup. And I would assume that he's going to take on a much bigger role back in Peoria. I mean, he was the MVP of that league last year. So,
yeah, I mean, I there's a couple angles I want to talk about with this, right? And one, like, obviously an extremely talented player. When you start limiting a talented player's ice time, they start to, find other opportunity. We know what he is in Peoria and how special he is there, and how much the fans there love him, and what he's going to be able to go do there. What he's going to probably play on their top line, go out there, light it up, and do exactly what you would expect him to do. But can we squash something real quick? The chatter that's loomed online of like what's going on in the locker room. These guys keep leaving. I really want fans to take a step back and see Pat did a great job of bringing extremely talented players to this organization, players that got shots in the AHL, not just with Grand Rapids, with other teams. And that's allowed them to also find other opportunities outside the ECHL. They're players that probably shouldn't have been in the ECHL to start with. Like Chad Hillebrand's the first one that comes to mind. He probably never should have been in Toledo. It's not a locker room culture problem. The culture has been the same across the board, and we're fortunate enough to be as connected as we are with the organization to at least see the culture from the outside. Obviously, we're not in the room constantly. We don't know, and we can't speak for the team. But I think to see a couple guys leave and jump and go, what's happening in the locker room? That's the wrong sentiment to have as a fan. One, you should just be happy that these guys are going to go play their minutes and play where they want to play and get their opportunities. And I know Ernst is a little different because he's going back to the SPHL, but at the same time, as Travis has said, he's a god in Peoria. Like, they love him there. So it makes sense, but it's not a culture problem. It's a problem of we got guys that were really, really, really good. And unfortunately, with the way the depth of the organization goes right now, is Grand Rapids doesn't have the help to give. Grand Rapids barely has 12 healthy forwards at the moment. Obviously, we lost the guys that got called up. And it's just kind of where we're at. It's part of the business side of the game. It's not the fan side of the game that you like to talk about. It's the business side. And it's a side that every team has to deal with. Some teams more than others in every season. This season, it just happens to be us.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's just like, you look at all the additions and subtractions, right? And like, you can just kind of roll this into the next two pieces. Like Rylan Mosley gets a sign from Cleveland, and they released Darby Llewellyn, and a couple guys go on the 14-day IR to make room for some of these guys. And it's just like, you have as Mark called it the one day, the ever-changing hockey league. Like, that's truly what it is. Like, and I mean, if you look at Fort Wayne, like, they're trading guys weekly, signing new guys weekly, releasing guys weekly. So like, it's no like different. you look at the outs and it's Hillebrand, Moyle, Soler, Pilon, Russell, Ernst, and you get the ins of Kruse, Waldron, Mosley, McKinnon, Drusik. Like, they kind of offset. And like I said in a previous episode, and like somebody had said to me, like the team did a lot of winning when Hillebrand and Moyle weren't even here. So that helped kind of ease the pain of losing them, especially when the team, I think they were both up on that 10-game win streak. Like, so
Yeah.
they've played well without those guys. And then you bring in guys like Waldron. All he's done is produce right away. He's scoring pretty much nightly. Kruse looks way healthier, and we'll get into that in a much deeper thing than he did at the end of last year. And then Mosley got a goal the other night. So I'm excited to see him and just kind of see where it goes from here. And obviously Drusik's been pretty good for the most part. The other night, the guys didn't really help him out a lot, but that's kind of become a trend lately that we'll get into.
I blame the overtime loss in the league for sharing the clip of him like throwing the stick over the net. What, he will do anything to save the goal or whatever, and then he gets scored on. I'm like, all right, well, that's the league's fault. And the league knows who I'm referencing in that. So moving on from that. Yeah, I really wanted to make sure I made that point because I see that chatter and it frustrates me because I know the guys see it too. And that's just, they're people. They're hockey players, but they're also people. You just got to remember that.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on to that, I do want to talk quickly before we jump into the games about like what these new additions have kind of looked like. And you mentioned Waldron. Like, this guy, we didn't know what to expect from him. You look at the NCAA stats, right? When we posted those, it's so hard to read those stats and understand what a guy's going to do in the pros. What have you seen from him besides just lighting it up? Because I know we're going to talk about scoring in these games, but him as a player, what are you seeing from him on the ice?
He's got that like knack to just be in the right spot. Like, you've seen that in the game this weekend, being right at the side of the net to pick up a rebound. He made a great shot the night before. Like, he's got a sneaky good release. I think it took him a couple periods, especially in that first game. That's probably the biggest thing. He came out, tried to get his feet underneath him a little bit, but then once he figured it out, it's like, okay, I can do this. And he even said that in postgame the other night. He's like, I know I can play, and it's just a matter of getting my feet underneath me and take it where it goes, and I'll be fine. And I love that they put him with two good players in Smirnoff and Lewandowski. That's really going to help, right? Especially when you start scoring too. That's only going to help your confidence. But he seems a lot bigger than what he's listed. Like, I think he's like 6'1", but he looks like thicker out there or a little like just heavier than presence. Not like Hillebrand size, but like
he plays a heavy style.
It's not that he's heavy. It's just like he's not small. Like, he doesn't play small, and I love that.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone said when they posted about it. Like, another small guy, and I'm like, watching what I've seen, he doesn't look small. So
he's not scared to be in the dirty areas. I mean, he scored a goal 2 feet from the blue paint the other night. So
exactly,
he's willing to go to the hard areas.
That. Yeah, it's good. I just wanted to hit on him because I know Mosley's still new. We haven't seen a ton of him yet. Obviously, we'll talk about him throughout these games, but Waldron is just one that it piqued my interest because I didn't know what to expect with him, and I've liked what I've seen. Was he shocked that someone wanted to interview him in postgame in the ECHL?
I don't think it was like a shock. It was just like getting to know you, right? Like, I think it's probably a little bit of a culture shock maybe, but like, you're probably not expecting that in the ECHL. But he's a really good kid, really, really good kid. I've talked to him twice now. He's got a good spirit about him, and he's a pretty good player. Yeah, they might have found something here.
What was his reaction to the atmosphere?
He's like, yeah, this is awesome. But coming from a school like ASU too, like, he was playing there, like, that's a pretty crazy building from what you've seen in college hockey. And then he was at Miami before that. So just another guy that, mid-season signing. It's hard to find players in the middle of the year. That's one thing that Pat had told me prior, like, especially this time of the season, like January, February, it's tough to find players. So when you can find a guy that comes in and produces like this right off the rip, like, you take that as a home run if he can keep it up.
Yeah, 100%. All right, well, let's transition into the games. We got 3 to talk about today. We're going to go to the first one back on February 13th at the Heritage Bank Center, not the Huntington Center, on the road in Cincinnati. And the Walleye come away with a 3-2 win here. And the first thing I see that jumps out at me at this stat sheet when I look at it, without even looking at what you've said, the Walleye went 3 for 6 on the power play in this game.
That's good and bad, and we'll get into why it's bad at the same time. The power play against Cincinnati, it's at like 48% this year.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
They said that on the broadcast, and I was just like, did he just say 48%? Like, that's insane. And then they score the the 3 goals. And I'm gonna be honest, like this was when Knights caught up to me, which you guys know about. I passed out in the second intermission. So that's my fault for the fans on
Slacker.
not getting clips out. I straight up fell asleep. And
Don't worry, he's been fined the maximum amount by the podcast CBA. Don't worry.
But as a whole, you go back and look at it. Yeah, their power play won them the game. Like that's just, there's really no other way
Scored
to
all the
say.
goals.
Yeah, like you don't score on the power play, they don't win the game. So their power play has been elite all year. It's still above 30%. They just know what they're doing. Bain does a great job. They put guys in good positions to succeed on the power play. And anytime you can go into Cincy and pick up a win is nice. Like road games in your division are tough to begin with. There's some of them that are just a little bit sweeter. I think Cincinnati's one of them myself.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. When you look at the stats too, and you go McCourt, a 3.9, Smirnoff, 2 goals and an assist, Hawkins, goal and an assist. Like those guys kind of carried it out there.
Smirnoff with 2.
Yeah.
Like that's a guy too. If they can continue to get even more out of him, that's only going to help. And he's got the skill to do it. And you've seen it in flashes. And you see him get 2 in a game, like especially with who he's playing with now. It's like, you could be prepared for takeoff here.
I think he is. And that's a really exciting thing to look at as a Walleye fan, to go, okay, like this guy is heating up. Can he keep heating up as we get deeper and deeper here? Because if you can get a guy like that on fire heading into the playoffs, boy, that's a whole different animal.
It stabilizes your lineup. And that's what so many of these new guys are going to do as in the long term, as we'll get into their lineup later into the show.
Yeah. And when you look at Cortsy too, 3 primary assists back to back, I should say, on all 3 power play goals. Obviously, we know what Cortsy's capable of offensively there, but when you look at him piggybacking that power play unit there, that's such a key contributor to everything they're doing right now.
Yeah, he's the power play quarterback. That's what they brought him in to do. That's what he's been good at forever when he was here the first go around. So it's no surprise that he's really good on the power play. He runs the top of the umbrella really well. He knows how to, to hand the puck off to one side or the other, where to go with it. He's a very good power play quarterback.
And how he wasn't a star of the game is beyond me. I guess it's on the road, and the home team obviously has kind of the say there. So they got one of their guys in his 3rd star, but Cortsy not even being on the list is insane. It was Smirnoff, Gyro, and then Stevens for Cincinnati there, who just had a goal in the game, nothing else. I mean, you got a defenseman out here with 3 assists and doesn't even get recognized. Come on, Cincy. Yeah. But speaking of Gyro, like another really solid game from him.
Yeah, he played well in this game, and he's having just a solid year all around, right? Like no matter where he's played, he's been pretty good for the most part. His save percentage is like in the, I think the 9, 10, 11, 12, somewhere right in there. So
in this league, that's impressive. That's tough to do.
Well, Cossa, I think his first year his year that he was here was like a 9.13. So I always kind of say, like, look, if you're going to base yourself off of something, that's maybe a bar to set it on.
Yeah, 100%. That obviously, like that was his first year. Like
right.
It's not his best numbers, but still at the same time, the ECHL can be a high scoring league, no matter who's in net. So it's impressive to be able to keep that going, especially with so much transition in front of him, right? The roster changing so much, guys being different. It's a tough adjustment for a goaltender, whether they want to admit it or not. So for him to be able to do that consistently, it's good stuff. All right, on to the next game here. Saturday night in Toledo on Valentine's Day, but unfortunately the love wasn't really there for the Walleye. They dropped this one 4-3 against Cincinnati, which, it's nice to go into Cincinnati and steal a win, but you want to come home and defend home ice. Obviously, as we've talked to all the coaches there in the past and present, defending home ice is a big deal to them. It does suck to drop this one 4-3, especially when you do outshoot them, but your special teams didn't really help you out. You did great on the PK. You went 2 for 2, but nothing on the power play tonight after coming off of, 3 power play goals the night before. What did you see in this game? What stands out to you in this one the most? Because it just sucks to drop a game at home, especially on Valentine's Day. Where's the love there?
Well, they started horrible. Right off the face-off, bad pinch, 2-on-1, and it's 1-0. So you're down 10 seconds in. Yeah. I mean, credit to them. They fought back in it twice in the first period. They trailed by 2 times and came back and got even after the first period. But it just, the breakdowns are horrible. Guys wide open in front of the net. And this is a reoccurring thing this whole weekend. And Pat even said, their first line beat us. That's true. Their first line won that game for them. But at the same time, it's February. You can't be leaving guys wide open in front of the net. And just bad pinch in the first 10 seconds too. That's really what it was. It was blown assignments and just leaving guys wide open. Like you cannot do that in this league. It doesn't matter who you are. Like I think it was the one goal, like Jerusik is sliding left to right and he got beat 5-hole. And it's like, okay, yeah, you might think it's a tough goal, but the guy's wide open in the slot. You cannot leave guys wide open in the slot. Shooters are going to score at the professional level. I don't care if it's a muffin of a shot or he blows it by you. Like, you cannot leave guys wide open.
You definitely can't. And that's unfortunate to see that that's kind of been like the storyline of this weekend when you look at everything. And it's just uncharacteristic. And I think the thing that also stands out to me too is we're so used to, even if the game is tied going into the third, the Walleye kind of just taking over in the third, and they just didn't do that in this game. I mean, you got outshot 9-4 in the third. You allowed Cincy to get the go-ahead goal in the third. It just wasn't that third period dogfight you're used to seeing from the Toledo Walleye.
Well, we had it in back-to-back games this weekend. That's what's kind of irritating about it, right? For them, like for the players and for the fans. Like that's been their biggest thing all year. Is like, now granted this game they didn't have the lead, but like they haven't got that full-on killer instinct every night in that third period, or if you're tied, you've seen nights where they've had the lead and they lose it, and then either lose in overtime or they got to work harder to go get the win. Like, you haven't seen that shutdown takeover on a consistent basis enough, I think, this year, that while they're young, this is something they got to learn to do. And it's February. You're quickly approaching that 3/4 mark of the year. It's like, guys, they gotta figure out that part of the game.
Yeah, and it's weird too, because you've seen games where they're trailing by 2 or 3 goals going into the third, and they come back and almost win or win it. Like,
right.
It's just weird to see this all of a sudden reoccurring pop up. Like you said, they're young, they're learning, and this is the toughest time of year in pro hockey. It's the grind part of the year. And it's where the mental errors rear their head the most. And I think that's kind of what the case of this game and the game we're about to talk about next too, is just the mental errors, the defensive breakdowns and things like that. This is the time of year where they show up the most. And as a team, you've got to figure it out, and you got to count on that veteran core to help lead these young guys through this, because it's so easy for a young player to get so discouraged when this stuff happens at this time of the year, where it carries over into the games that matter the most. And you don't want that. You want to see what we've seen over the past few years, where that game 1 of the first round hits, and all of a sudden we look at each other and go, they had this gear in the tank and they never pulled it out. What the heck? Like, that's what we want to see, because we're so used to it. But you've got to solve these problems first. And do I think they will? Yeah. Like, obviously I'm going to say yes. What am I going to say? No. But do I think it's a concern? It's not. I'm not, hitting the panic button like Nick would in a Grand Rapids season at this point, obviously, but there's concerns.
Yeah, I mean, like the concerns for me so far, like, are gonna be like the 5-on-5 scoring and the lapses defensively, like the breakdowns. But that's, again, something that you can work. At least the breakdowns are 5-on-5, which we can get into that a little later too when we're going through the roster itself, and the lineup and how it's changed things could help things. But the good thing that came out of this game is that Kruse returned to the lineup. That's one thing we should talk about.
And he looks healthy.
Yeah, he looked fresh. He looked a lot healthier than he did down the stretch last year. At one point, he came down the wing and took a slap shot, and I can't even tell you the last time I seen that. So that can tell you, if that's not your indication as to how hurt he was at the end of last year, because you didn't see that from like Christmas on with him. I think it was just like he was hurt. Like, he was going through it. He got some things taken care of in the summer, and that's why he got the late start this year. But he's here and he made an immediate impact in this game. He got a point in this game. So easing him into the lineup, like managing minutes. He wasn't on any power play, but he was killing penalties. So like, they're managing minutes. So it's very interesting.
It's just nice to see him back. It's nice to see that familiar face return and be healthy. And you just hope as he eases in, you see the Kruse that we know he can be, and maybe even more, since we don't know how long he was hurt going into that stretch last year, right? We've heard so many times that players will battle a nagging injury for months before they finally say, yeah, I'm gonna sit. And who knows? He could have been hurt from puck drop first game of the season. We don't know. So it's good to see him back, and that's going to be such a key piece down the stretch that could really help this team stabilize some things. So I'm excited to see, once he gets fully up to speed, he's fully acclimated back in, what he's capable of contributing this season. outside of that, we're going to hit a quick ad break. When we come back, we're going to recap game 3, give you our stars of the week, talk a little more about this lineup like Travis alluded to, and of course, an ECHL standings update.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props, live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. Currently, the NHL is on an Olympic break, but right now you can bet a plus 10,000 for Moritz Seider to win the Norris Trophy or plus 3,500 for John Gibson to win the Vezina. Pretty good odds there for our guys. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright 2026 Reserve.
And welcome back. All right, one more game to talk about. This time still at home. This time with the Fort Wayne Komets coming to town. And unfortunately, the Walleye dropped this one 4-3 in overtime. So, hey, they do get a point against Fort Wayne, which is always nice when you look at the standings race. But you hate to drop a game like this. You hate to see who scores the game winner. I hate to see Tataya's name assisting twice in this game, too. I miss that guy. I just miss the chicken nuggets. But at the same time, what happened? Because I have my theory of what happened. Obviously, not being able to watch this because I'm like, oh, power play 2 for 4. Great. Fort Wayne got a power play goal. You outshot him. You lost in overtime. What the heck happened?
Blew a 2-0 lead. They got the lead.
Well,
they built on it. And then the third came out, and they just weren't good enough in the third period. Like, especially the beginning of the third period. Fort Wayne scored 3 goals early, and it was like they just took the game over. Like, their top guys kind of forced the issue a little bit. Next thing you know, it's 2-1. All of a sudden, it's 2-2, and now it's 3-2, and you're trailing. And that's really the biggest thing is, like I said earlier, like we talked about, like in the past, these kind of things don't happen. This is a thing where, like, last year, this game gets locked down. Like, this is a game where you'd see them shut it down and not give them anything. And again, it goes back to being a young roster. There's a lot to learn from. And, like, this is one thing for me too. Like, you got to remember, like, and I was having this conversation with somebody over the weekend at the game, like you got to, like, build a core, right? And you look at the core of the team, like, you got Huck, you got Keens, you got Craggs. Like, those guys have been here for a long time, few years now. But you also got to build that younger core, that next group of guys, right? And, like, you got, like, if some of these guys can stick around, like Waldron, Kelly, like some of these younger guys, you got to teach these guys the process and the way. And they're struggling a little bit with, the shutting it down, but they'll figure it out and it'll come. But you got to credit Fort Wayne. Like, that's a good hockey team over there. Like, it really is. Like, I've said all year, I think that truly is the best roster in the division. Like, I think,
even though it's changed a million times.
Yeah. Like, and Pat even said that's the best forward group in the Central Division. So, like, before the game, like, that was the thing that played on the Jumbotrons. Like, that's the best forward group in the division. Like, that's a really good hockey team. Like, I was talking, I think, with Mark downstairs after the game, and, like, I looked at him and I said, these two, it's inevitable for round 2, 7 games. Like, it's got it wrote all over it. Like, it's just how they play each other. It's tight. There's not a lot of space out there. And like you said, the former Walleye guys, killers, Tatayev and Smerik. And I mean, for Smerik, it's got to feel good for him, right, to come back and kind of shut the fans up. But
I'm sure it does. But
and Tatayev, same thing. Like, he had a good night, and Tatayev had a big night the last time they were here. So
I'm sure it's fun to shut the fans up, but does he know it hurts our feelings?
Yeah.
I don't
think he cares at this point. Play for a new team, but it's a hard fought battle with Fort Wayne. Look, we got them last weekend. They got us this weekend. Like, it's gonna go back and forth with those two teams. Like, I don't think you're gonna see any team come out and if they play in April or May, sweep one or the other. Like it's going to be a tight series if they do match up in April, May. So it's just one of those ones that's really tough. Now I will say they fought back late to get the goal, tie the game to get it to overtime. Then they get the power play and you're like, okay, game over. Like 4-on-3, 32% power play. They didn't score. And then I know there's a lot of fans outraged at the penalty that was called. Like it was a sell job. But at the same time, like they had their opportunities to win the game. Like they had a 4-on-3 and they didn't score. So
that's just Travis preventing me from an official's rant.
Well, no, I mean it was a soft call. I'll say that.
Oh no, 1,000% a soft call. It's one of those ones where you expect the interference and embellishment call, then you sit there and go, "Why are you calling anything then?"
Right. And
that's what it probably should have been, though.
There was another call that they didn't call late in the third while I was downstairs, and you could hear, you didn't call that one. It's like, but
I mean, at the end of the day, like when I look at the stats, obviously not being able to watch this game because the Griffins were playing at the same exact time. The things I don't like is 3 consecutive goals against within about a 3 to 4 minute time span. You hate to see that for that team to be able to take over at that point. You do love to see the fight to at least get it tied. You do hate to see the penalties though. Like the penalties on all 3 game sheets concern me because there's these late penalties where you're just like, guys, like simmer down in the third. Don't put yourself on a kill.
Yeah.
Like let you play 5-on-5, even though the 5-on-5 scoring hasn't been what you want it to be. Like, let's not put us down, man. I know we can score shorthanded goals like the best of them, but you shouldn't take a penalty just to get shorthanded.
Well, that's really cooled off. The shorties have really cooled off as of late, and that wasn't really a sustainable rate that they were scoring at. Which I guess we can kind of transition into this a little bit. The 5-on-5 versus at least this weekend, like their 5-on-5 scoring was not good. Like not good at all. They scored what? They scored 3 Saturday.
Power play goals over the...
Yeah, of their, 8-9 goals. They scored 3 Friday. They scored 3 Saturday. They scored 3 in every game.
The 9 goals.
5 of them are on the power play.
It's not good. It's not sustainable hockey, that's for sure.
That's not as recipe. Yeah, because you're not going to get the calls every night. So they're going to have to figure
we know
out
that.
Yeah, you're going to have to figure out some 5-on-5 offense. That's for sure.
What do you think lacks the most 5-on-5?
I think at home, it's one too many passes trying to be a tad cute at times.
Okay. I can see that.
Sometimes I think it's trying to be too pretty and not just get the puck to the net and get to the crease, like get to the hard areas more often. I want to see more of that. Like
I can see that from the games I've seen in person. The passing does get too cute.
Like get to the hard areas. Somebody go in there and cause hell and get there for the loose change and the rebounds. Now that leads to the rebound question. They miss the net a lot. I've really noticed this lately, like trying to pick corners.
Oh, it's the curse of the Griffins.
Like picking the corners up high. There's a lot of missed shots. I mean, I get, you see an opening and you want to hit it, but got to make the goalie play his position too at some point.
Here, let me help you out next time you play Fort Wayne and Nathan Day's at net. Low glove, boys. Low glove. It's weak.
And the thing too, like if you're shooting low and then you're getting to the hard areas, there's going to be rebounds. You're going to get bounces. Like you're not going to score from distance picking corners all year. Like at some point, that's one thing I've noticed that like if they could get to the hard areas, get shots in there, like this is where it's going to come to the fans, and the fans are going to go, oh, it's size. We don't have any size. Like, it ain't about the size of the dog. It's about the size of the dog in the fight. Like, it's like, you got to get in there. You got to, if small but mighty, go in there. If you're not a big dude, just show a willingness to get in there and get dirty and go put the hard hat on and go to work. We've heard about the hard hat mentality. And I think that's one thing that, like, if they start to get to the net more, they'll start to see more 5-on-5 goals.
That was Marco Casper's specialty in Grand Rapids. Gets to the net and play in those hard areas. He's not a big dude, but he's a dog.
Yeah, you just gotta.
That's just what he started doing, and that's when he started scoring.
Like, yeah, and I mean, like, look, the highlight reel goals are sweet, right? And the pretty plays and the passing plays, and like, there's going to be loose plays where you get a puck bounced to you on the slot and you bury it, right? That happens. But I just feel like there's got to be a little bit more of like, we got to get to the hard areas and make it harder on the goaltenders at times. Because you can have 50, 60 shots a night, but if they're from outside of the house and they're not in the slot or 2 feet in front of the net trying to jam away rebounds, like it's only going to get you so far. Biggest thing for me with 5-on-5 is hit the net. And when you do hit the net, get to the net for rebounds. That's probably two things for me that I've noticed.
Yeah. Nope. I would have 100% agree with that because I remember looking at you a couple of times last time I was there, just be like, why is he passing? Just shoot it.
Yeah, just shoot it.
Shoot it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the fan that's like, shoot it, but shoot it.
Yeah. If you
There's
get a
famous quote about, missing shots you don't take. I don't know who it was by. I think it was Michael Scott.
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah. I know the quote. Thank you, Travis.
Well, you said you think, so I just had to keep you on your toes there.
Joke. Whoop. Anyways.
Hey, and the other thing too is like I'll say this while we're on this topic real quick. This team they feel tight. They feel tense at home. Like there's that pressure from the fans because you see them on the road and they just look like a completely different team on the road. They play a lot better on the road this year. You can see it. If you watch games on the road and then you watch games at home, they're a lot better on the road. I don't know what it is. It's that way this year.
I don't know what to say about that. I have thoughts, but I don't know how to put them into words that I would say on a podcast. It's interesting that you bring that up, though.
Well, their splits, they're 15-4-2-2 and 12-7-2-1. So at home, they're 12-7-2-1, and on the road,
but if they visibly look more tense at home, I have concerns about that because
I don't know if maybe tense isn't the right word, but like in this weekend, you could tell there was just frustration. Like you could see there were moments where guys were just frustrated, like things
gripping
weren't
the stick too tight, man.
Yeah, like just like. I don't know if it's one of those things to where it's like they want to make it so like again, like it's like you said, I don't know how to say it. It's just like you can feel like maybe like you said, they're gripping their sticks a little too tight. They're trying to do a little too much. Maybe it's just keep it a little more simple and you'll find better results. But I don't know. It's something that I've noticed, and especially late in the third period, they're giving up goals lately at home. It's become a trend the last couple of weekends where you've seen goals. Fort Wayne got one. Cincy got one. Cincy got one the week before. So like there's 3 games I can think of in the last 7-8 minutes down to 0 where you're giving up goals. You're in a tie game and you're giving up the lead late or the tie game late. So it's just one thing I've noticed. I feel like they just play better. I feel like on the road. I don't know what that is. And some, it's different. Some years teams are so good at home and struggle on the road. And it's just one thing I feel like is kind of noticeable this year.
Got to lock it down.
Maybe it's because they've lost, I think it's 4 in a row at home. It's just a bad stretch at home right now. It could be that too. Maybe it's that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch and see how it develops because you don't want that at home, obviously. You want them to perform at home when the home crowd is always fantastic. It's always full. And like, when you're watching the Griffins kind of go through their struggles at home, it's not fun because you're like, come on, we're on home ice. You guys should be just doing what you're doing on the road here. But at least we saw over this past weekend, they kind of figured out how to play at home again. So the change can happen fast. Like, it's just got to happen.
And the thing with it here too is like, I know I've said this before too. It's like, it's not just like you get this every game, but like for the team coming in here, like it's a circled game on the calendar. Like when you come in here, and like you got to remember too, this is like their biggest game with fans probably for most of these teams that's coming into this building. So like it's easy to get up and be alert for these games for the teams coming in here.
Yep. And that's not us telling you fans to simmer down. I mean, maybe just be louder somehow, even if that's possible. Either way. All right, moving on from that. That's the update for the games. Who are the 3 stars of the week, even though we've got 2 losses, and I don't give out gold stars for losses?
So I got Mitchell Lindowski with the goal and 2 assists for the 3rd star. Dennis Smirnoff, 2 goals and an assist for 3 points and 2nd star. And then I gave the 1st star to Johnny Waldron, the new guy.
You have to.
Yeah, he's been playing really well. He's finding the back of the net at a crazy pace to start his professional career. So had to give it to him.
Yeah, I 100% agree with the 3 stars there. I just want to see wins, boys. Wins. Tighten it up. Have fun. At least so the nice thing is, I know this is in the end of the note, but we got the upcoming schedule and it's a good road trip. It's a good opportunity for guys who have come back or being brought onto the roster to acclimate with everybody, get closer, have a good time, because we've got Trois Rivières back to back to back on the road.
Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of guys going up there with some pissed off feelings, which I think is the perfect time for this road trip to happen. Like
it really is. And that poor goalie who did not cause those pissed off feelings last year in Trois Rivières.
Yeah,
he's going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, this is a big weekend for them. There's going to be a sour taste in a lot of them guys' mouth that were here last year, and they're coming into a series against a team that albeit it's not the same roster. Obviously, the league changes so much, and they're not even in the playoffs right now. But it's a chance for you to go back there and take out some pissed off emotion on a team.
The players there might not have been there, but the fans were there.
Yeah,
That's the thing. You're gonna try to rub it in a little bit, and if you can go out there and sweep this weekend, and that's a darn good business trip right there. So that's what we're hoping for.
Anywhere from 4 to 6 points is a glorious weekend out there, I think. And
I would agree.
Before you get to the standings up, there's just a few things I want to go through with the lineup real quick. So all these new guys have really shuffled the lines up from what they had been, right? And I understood what they were doing for the most part, like with the lineup. Like the second line was so hot, they couldn't break that line up when it was Louis, Dickinson, and I believe it was Kelly at that point. And then they had Waugh with Craggs and Hawk. Hawk was coming off of such a scorching hot pace. They were trying to get the other two going offensively. I just don't think it worked as planned for that group. And then like the third and the fourth line's kind of been a revolving door a little bit. And then that third line at that point was like, it had Smirnoff on it. So it's like, it was kind of weird for a little while there, but I think these new faces have balanced everything out a little bit. And this is one thing that I wanted to point out, that to me, it kind of gave, it showed this weekend. So like with Kruse and Craggs, you've seen that instantly. Like Craggs, for whatever reason, when he's with Kruse, it works. There is a chemistry there, like a legit chemistry. Like they just looked great together. And that was a pair last year that didn't split at all through the whole season. And I know they had Louis on that line last year, but Louis has been so good on that second line. And now he's with Smirnoff and Waldron this weekend. That line, I really like that, what that could become. You got a guy that's hot shooting the puck right now with two guys that, can be, really good players in their own mind too. But the big one's like with Hawk. I think you put Hawk with Dickinson and Mosley, they give this some runway here. I think this is going to work. Like it seems like with Hawk this year, everybody's had a revolving door of line mates, and there just hasn't been enough time to build that chemistry. And I think that's where, with all these new faces coming in, I think now they're kind of set. And it's like, okay, now go build some chemistry. I think they're kind of like at a point where it's like they've got the pieces they needed to fill out this roster. It's just now you got to go build some chemistry, and hopefully we see it this weekend.
Yeah, I hope so too, and I hope you're right. And I guess the only way to see if it's going to work that way is to let it all play out, right? We won't know until we actually see it, but good call outs. All right, let's head over to the standings here, give you the quick update around the ECHL. We'll obviously start with the Central Division. Top of the division, you got Toledo and Fort Wayne tied at 61 points, but the Walleye have a couple games in hand on Fort Wayne right now. Bloomington in third, Indy in fourth, Cincinnati in fifth, Kalamazoo in sixth, and Iowa down there with 15 wins in seventh place. So they're done. Moving over to the Mountain Division here. Kansas City leading that division. Now I have a 10-point lead over Idaho there with only one game in hand on Idaho. So Kansas City starting to run away with the Mountain there. You got Allen, Tahoe, Wichita, Rapid City, Utah, and Tulsa making up the rest of it. Funny story is my cousin came up to Grand Rapids this weekend from Oklahoma, and they went to the Griffins game Friday night. He's like, yeah, we don't have anything like this down there. I'm like, well, yeah, Tulsa. And he's like, yeah, they suck. So, from someone in Oklahoma. There you go. There's your update on Tulsa. Heading over to the Eastern Conference, and we'll start in the South Division. There you got Atlanta leading that division, but they are tied with Florida, both at 64 points right now. South Carolina in third. Savannah, Orlando, and Greenville and Jacksonville make up the rest of that division there. The bottom three spots in that division are actually tight. You got Jacksonville at the bottom at 42 points, Greenville ahead of them at 44, then 45 points for Orlando there. Like Travis has alluded to multiple times in the show, the math is not in Orlando's favor here, having played the most games out of basically anyone in the league at this point. So they probably are in trouble.
That division's going to be a bear in the playoffs.
That division's going to be the monster, but I have this strange feeling that like the first round's going to be an upset.
It's very well. There's going to be a really good team come out of that division.
Yes, but if it's like Savannah and Atlanta, for some reason I see like Savannah sweeping Atlanta for some reason. I don't know. Don't place your bets on it right now, but That's what I see happening. And if it does, you can come back to this episode and say, holy crap, you can see the future. What's tomorrow's lottery numbers? And I won't tell you because I won't know. Heading over to the North Division, the last division here, Wheeling still leading that division there. Adirondack up to second place now. Reading in third, Maine in fourth. The Railers in fifth as Travis wants them into playoffs so badly. Trois Rivières, as Travis mentioned, outside the playoff picture right now in sixth place. Norfolk and Greensboro make up the rest of that division. So no crazy changes. Too early to start seeing full playoff pictures. What we can tell you is that Iowa and Greensboro are out. They're done. That's basically all we can tell you. Confirmed, not mathematically eliminated yet, but basically, and probably Orlando too.
Tulsa's out.
Oh yeah, them too, because they suck. According to my cousin. Good stuff. Well, that right there, man, wraps up this week's episode. I don't think we have anything else to add. So again, Walleye fans, we're sorry there was a week gap there. The All-Star game threw everything off for us. But again, we hope you enjoyed the content we brought you guys from that. And we're so looking forward to it being in Cleveland next year. Maybe we'll get Travis out of his house to that one. He really doesn't have an excuse not to go to Cleveland. So if he doesn't, you guys can let him have it. But with that, we'll wrap the episode up. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, we got to thank our sponsors of the show, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. When you're betting with DraftKings, use code THPN. And when you're shopping at everythinghockey.com, be sure to use code WEST. It saves a few bucks off your order, but also directly supports the show. We got to also thank our Patreon subscribers as well, because without them, the show would not be possible. And we've got a couple new ones to introduce here as well. And if you want to join these folks, head over to patreon.com/HockeytownWest podcast. New ones, we got, I think it's All In GR, or it's Al in GR, one of the two. You have to clarify for me. We got Bert Torito, Zach, Darren Schwartz, Peter Grell, Joe Schroeder, D-Boss is D-Boss, Tyler Engels, John in Florida, Elaine Grace, Griffin, not from GR, Derek Sleezer, Lori, Allen, and Michael Alsante. Thank you all for the love and support. We appreciate you guys. And again, welcome to the two new patrons there. We still have to come up with a name for the people on Patreon instead of just patrons. There's something better there. We've got to figure that out. Let us know in the comments what we should name those folks there, and please keep it appropriate. That's all we've got. Stay tuned next week for another Grand Rapids Griffins update. We'll be back again with a Toledo Walleye update next week, unless Travis is still working nights, then we'll figure that out then. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the special episode that we dropped already this week with a former Grand Rapids Griffins player. We were so excited to finally get that one out to you all, so we hope you enjoyed it. But until we talk again, as always, go Griffins, go Walleye, and we'll talk to y'all again soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod, and your hosts, Nick at GR Hockey Guy, Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey, and Travis at Trav in T-Town.
See, when I do the hosting, it's not Nick screaming bye at you like he did last episode. Again, I'm so sorry.